Welcome or welcome back to another episode of Way Too Wifey. I'm your host, respectfully Gabby, and in this podcast, we talk all about dating and relationships in this modern day. If you have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notification so you will never miss another episode. And if you're watching on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, really anywhere that you can find podcasts, please, now is your time to leave that 5-star rating, because I promise you, if you send love out there, love will come back to you. So now is your time. I will pause for a second. Now let's hop into the episode. Today, we have a very special guest. I can't wait to introduce you guys. Straight out of F-Boy Island. Welcome, Jabriane.
What's going
Maybe
on?
not straight out of, how long ago was this recorded?
You know what's funny? A lot of people ask, like, they think it was recorded like maybe a year and a half ago. It was actually recorded the same year it was released. So
okay.
We were in Mexico from January to March, and it came out in July. So it was a quick turnaround.
Okay, so it's been a year, though.
Yeah, about now, yeah.
I actually have never seen the show, to be honest with you. I'm usually I like the reality TV show, but I only watch HBO whenever Euphoria is on.
Okay, and you exit out.
Yeah, so I'll only splurge on that extra $10 a month.
But
if Euphoria.
You know, that's funny because Euphoria actually helped us out, because I know before.
Oh, I believe that.
A lot of people had HBO Max. Not a lot of people watch HBO Max, but I know Zendaya has a huge following, a bunch of fans,
Yeah.
And before it came out, we were able to kind of ride that wave because people had HBO Max. And I'm finding out. So the funny thing is, I never watched this show before I went on the show.
Really?
I was actually going to be on a different show called The Circle. And
oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I would have rather been on The Circle.
Me too. I mean, when I found out a lot of things about The Circle. It's a lot of solitary things. You're literally
by yourself for how long? I don't know, but
right. Bring you your groceries and all that. And I mean, what we see on TV, we see them interacting with the other contestants, and we see like the Siri-ish type thing interacting. But other than that, there's a lot of time alone. And I like being at home by myself at home, and I can do it because I have.
It's like quarantine all over again.
Right. Ooh, I don't know if I could do it
I could totally do it. I think.
But I think it's funny because the other day, New Year's Eve just passed, and there was a huge storm here in California, and it knocked out all my power.
Oh shit.
Power. Early though too, at 6 o'clock, right? So I'm like, damn. Then my phone died. I was like, oh my God. And I had a taste of what it would be like to be alone with no electronics, no nothing. And
you realize you don't realize how dependent you are until you're without it. When I was without a phone, my phone broke, I think last year sometime. And I was without a phone for a couple of days because it was a holiday weekend. So all the stores were closed. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. How do I get in contact with people?
Literally, I felt like a kid. I was like, first thing, how am I going to call my mom? I'm in my late 20s, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to call my mom. How am I going to do this? And you realize how unimportant everything is. Because my Wi-Fi went. Then my wife was like, oh, my phone's useless now, so I just kind of threw it. And then after the power, and I was like, dang, I'm really sitting here in the dark. I couldn't make a fire if someone paid me. You realize how much we don't know how to do as a society.
So true. Okay, so for the people that don't know what F-Boy Island is, like myself, I kind of have an idea of what it is, but can you kind of just give the concept and what it was like being on the show?
Concept of F-Boy Island. Basically, it's 30 guys. Half the guys are self-proclaimed nice guys. The other half are self-proclaimed F-boys. The premise is you're dating 3 girls, and you want the girls to basically pick you. And if whoever the girl picks, you guys split. The guy can either take the $100,000 if he's an F-boy, or he can split $50,000 if he's a nice guy. So this is the premise of the show. Basically, is you want to get on the show and you're trying to sell yourself. No matter if it shows how arrogant you are. You got to be arrogant to go on a show and call yourself a nice guy too.
Wait, so I'm curious, what were you? Which side did you play?
So I was a nice guy. Okay.
Did you? Okay, but before we get into it, do you actually believe that, or was it something I'd rather play this side?
So I think my motive going on, because I used to be an F-boy.
Okay.
I was not the best partner, and I know that, and it's all good. And I own up to it, because I feel like when it comes to growth, you got to be able to know where you're growing from, right? And for me, I'm like, I'm a nice guy because I used to be an F boy. Not saying a nice guy means I'm perfect. And there were guys on there that felt like me being a nice guy means I'm the perfect guy. And
Right.
nobody's anything, right? So when I went on there, I did say though, my mom's gonna watch this. I can't be up there as an F boy. Like I just can't take that crown. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Okay, so everyone's self-proclaimed. Do you actually know which guys are playing which side?
So you don't know, right? So we're not even allowed to talk about it with the guys. We can
Oh,
guess.
really?
Like one of my guys, I ended up being best friends with a guy named Benedict Asante. Like we got really cool, really close. And I remember being in the room with them because we weren't allowed to say or disclose that to each other. But I remember being in the room with him. I said, "I love you guys, but if I find out you guys are F boys, I swear to God, I'm be pissed." Right? And they laugh because they're like, nah, like they can't say no, they're not. They're like, bro, if we find out too, like but eventually, like you find out. So that's the coolest thing about the show, right? It shows. I feel like a lot of this kind of paints young ladies in a bad light, right? Because
Yeah.
eventually, there's 10 episodes. By episode 5, you reveal to the girls and to the guys in the house what you are. If you're a nice guy, if you're an F boy, right? And to the girls, you're letting them know, like, hey, I came on here as an F boy, so I lied to you from jump. So to me, logically, I feel like a girl or a young lady would be like, you know what, you're an F boy, you lied to me. Regardless, I'm cutting you out. But the girls still keep them, and a lot of times the F boys win. So I think it makes the young ladies feed into that stereotype of bad boy
Because they know at the end. So like,
right.
she's really making the decision based off of what she already knows.
And once like the girls find out what the guys are, it's kind of like a release for a lot of guys. They're like, oh, I ain't gotta like worry about being somebody else no more. I'm myself. You're gonna either pick me or you're not. And
But
a lot
wouldn't
of
you
times
want to be yourself regardless on the show?
it's weird though, because like it's all right. So it's you kind of can't be yourself as much because I want myself, and I'm pretty confident in who I am. But ultimately, like it's not a realistic thing to. I'm not used to. One thing I hated doing was going when I see the girl I was dating on the show, talking to another guy, and walking into the guy and be like, "Hey, bro, can I pull her for a few seconds?" Realistically, that's not what you're gonna do. You're not gonna date. Personally, I'm not gonna date a girl who I see kissing or talking to or on or talking about other guys. That's just not me.
Yeah.
So art takes away you trying to be yourself. You realize, all right, I gotta get in where I fit in and play that role to the best ability I can. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. So you mentioned that you used to be a F boy.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define an F boy? Let's get into that.
I think there's a misconception. I think people think F boys are guys who talk to multiple girls, and this may be controversial. Talk to multiple girls, have multiple sexual partners. I think F boy is someone who lies about it.
Okay, I agree.
I think someone who's very honest, like, hey, like just so you know, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to other girls, or just so you know, I'm having sex with you, but I'm having sex sleep with other girls too. I don't think nothing's wrong with that. I think if you're upfront and that person chooses to stay in your life because of that, at that point, you're not an F boy. You're an honest guy. I consider myself an F boy because I did stuff like, I had a girlfriend at a time and would date or talk to other girls while having a girlfriend.
Okay, see, that's a problem.
That's a problem, right? That's an F boy. Because I think what really made it worse was that in my mind, I would mix it up and be like, but I'm still a good person. Like, you know what I mean? To me, that's
you're trying to convince yourself that it's right. Like your actions are okay.
And sometimes you got to take a step back and look at the pattern. And what helped me kind of change is I took a step back and I started to remember things young ladies would tell me who I would date or whatever. And I remember hearing specific phrases or words or sentences that all sounded the same. And then I said, oh, that it can't be them. It has to be me. That's what made me be like, oh yeah, I got
it. What were the phrases?
I used to tell this. I do remember me. I love this. My ex from a few years ago. I loved her. But I was not a good partner to her. And I remember saying to her, but I love you. And her response was, the fact that you still think you love somebody but treat them bad shows that you don't love them. And I remember young ladies always saying to me, like, you can't love me and treat me bad. That's not what love is. And I was like, nah, they don't.
Good for them.
But it's real. Like, yeah. And I looked like this. So because of that, I went to therapy. I had to just look at who I was. And I was like, I got to find out what the root issues for all these things are. Because one day I do want to be a father. I do want to be a husband. I do want to be a partner. And I refuse to be a horrible partner to my wife and try to raise my sons to be great men. That, to me, that doesn't make sense. So
yeah, it's a little backwards.
I had to
But
change.
so you think that men can outgrow their F-boy, or do you think that all men outgrow this?
I don't know if we say the word. I don't know if I would use the word outgrow, but I think it's possible to change. Yes, it's not going to happen from. It's sad because I think there are a lot of women that think they can change men. They can't. Bottom line,
Yeah.
it got to come from me. I got to want to change myself, and I think that's a hard thing for a lot of guys to do, a lot of young ladies to see that it has to come from within, and that's true. You got to really sit. It's hard for men. One thing I would say, it's harder. It's a lot harder for men to do a lot of self-evaluation and look and see where they were wrong and say, "Oh, dang, I got to change." Yeah, a lot of men can't do that. A lot of men don't have the ability. They look at where
Yeah.
they were. They look at their origin story. Like that's what I would do. I would look at the first girl that hurt me really, really bad, and I was like, "Yeah, nah," because I'm like this because of her, so I can't trust any woman because of
Yeah.
that.
It's the taking accountability and thinking like, okay, this is where I'm at.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
heal what happened to me, and I'm not what happened to me. It's time to move on. But I don't feel
absolutely.
like a lot of men get to that point.
Well, I don't think a lot of men know how. I didn't know how.
Yeah. I think that the tools aren't as like available
Right.
to men
I,
to where it's acceptable.
absolutely. And I think you hear a lot of things like, men are trash, all men cheat, things like that. And I can't sit here and say I disagree, but at the same time, I can't sit here and say I agree either. Because the same people who are saying all those phrases, have you dated every single man on earth? Do you know what
Yeah.
every thinks? I think if you want people to change, the worst thing to do is point out all of their flaws, only their flaws, right? Talk about the great things about them. That'll make somebody.
It's so funny. I just literally posted a TikTok about that. I'm like,
Mhm.
you literally can't tell a man what to do. He was not going to listen. But
Absolutely.
if you encourage him when he's doing right, he's going to eventually
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
That's so weird that you just brought that up. But back to the cheating thing. What is your definition of cheating? Let's start there.
I think cheating is anything you're afraid to tell your partner that you're doing.
Ooh, that's a good
So,
definition.
so to me, so I had a coworker when I first started working at the hospital. Like when I first moved from the ambulance to the hospital, she was going through a situation with her boyfriend or whatever like that. I didn't know the situation. I didn't know that it was right. So me and her would text and talk, and we were cool. And I thought she was an amazing woman. I thought she was
Mhm.
amazing. She was dope, smart, intuitive, all that. But I realized when me and her would text, she would always stop texting me at certain times of day, whatever, this is that.
Mm.
I didn't think much of it. I'm like, whatever, we partners. She don't owe me that. And come to find out it's because she had a boyfriend and she just let me know, like, oh, I just respect my relationship. So I don't
So I don't
like
text around him.
right. So I think that's the crazy thing, right? Because I think ultimately a lot of times women use certain languages or people are I think men are manipulative with their actions, women are manipulative with their language.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she verbalized certain things, she would make it seem like, oh yeah, out of respect for my relationship, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, this, that. But all right, prime example. I remember because I thought she was fine. I actually had a little crush on her, and I let her. And this may sound bad, but I want women to understand this. If your male friends don't know your boyfriend, then you are gonna be single to them. That's the bottom line.
That's
I don't
true.
have, I
Yeah.
don't have loyalty to that guy. So to me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want you. Like, I don't care about him. Not saying this, not saying that's how I feel. That's how I felt though, for sure. And I remember I said something to her. I was like, hey, just so you know, like, I just want to tell you how great you are. I just talked to her, talked about how amazing she was amazing. And her response was, out of respect for my relationship, I won't specifically respond to this, but I just want to tell you, you have a special place in my heart. And she loved the message or something like that.
So that's not being respectful to your relationship.
And that's how I right back. And to me, I
Yeah.
think enough to verbalize things like, oh, I didn't say, I didn't do. And to me, I'm like, but you liked it.
I
How
think
would you?
for women it's more the emotional thing.
Right.
Like emotionally cheating, but then for men I think it's more physically. But I'm curious because obviously we have social media now and that's changed a lot of things. Would you consider like liking a thirst trap cheating?
It's funny. I really don't think so. But I think that comes from a selfish place. I wouldn't care if my fiance or wife or girlfriend did. Personally, I think genuinely that comes from a place of people going to look and see, and it bothers them,
Okay.
right?
I don't agree though, because okay, so why like it?
I think we're using the app for what the app's for, right? Like, I mean, I think it depends. It depends on a few things, right? So if I don't know, let me think of celebrity. J-Lo posted a
Okay, but
thirst
that's
trap.
J-Lo. That's
But that's
J-Lo.
not, so
I mean,
so
we're both gonna like J-Lo's picture, let's be honest.
but that's what I'm saying. How come we can pick
But
and
like a
choose?
girl that lives in your town,
Okay.
she posts a bikini picture and you like it. That's to me giving her an open door to where it's disrespecting the relationship, as
Okay.
well as you're now opening the door for that girl to be like, oh, he liked my picture, but he's in a relationship. He's not shit. But let me maybe see if I can slide in his DMs and like, because you're giving her the green light.
So then what about it bothers you? Right? Is it because the girl feels like she can say and do certain things and she can cross boundaries in your relationship, or because it genuinely bothers you? Right? Because
I just think it's disrespectful.
okay. So it's funny because I've never heard a guy say, bro, she be like, on my pictures. But I don't care. Girls do it just as much, if not more, than guys do. I have girls blow my Instagram up all the time, and I look at their social media and it's full of their boyfriends. And my mind doesn't say, oh, she want me. It's whatever, that's stupid. I don't think that deep, but I think at the same time, just because, and this is what I'm learning, because this was it in my past relationship. This is what I'm learning. If just because I'm not okay with it doesn't mean that my partner has to be okay with it. I'm learning that you got to teach somebody how to love you. And yeah, there are certain things that don't bother me. I don't care if you're on the phone. I truly don't. I've learned that I'm not a jealous person. I don't care if you're talking to, texting, whatever other guys. If you do something to disrespect our relationship, you wasn't meant for me anyway.
For sure, yeah.
And because of that, I have a sense of like happiness within myself to where I don't really care. But I also understand that I think that it's funny because I think the things that make women uncomfortable in relationship and the things that make men uncomfortable in relationship are two totally drastic things, different things, right?
So are you willing to adjust how you go about it to make your girl happy?
So I am, but I think also that comes with a compromise, right? If I'm trying to change a way I've been for 28, 29 years in the span of us dating for a year, 6 months, 4 months, 5 months, you got to be able to give me the grace to understand he's been doing this for a long time. It's not going to be as easy. It's not going to happen at the snap of a finger. It's going to be a bit of a growing pain and a little bit of a change.
I remember my very first relationship where, do you remember when Instagram had the feature where you would go on it and you would see everything that everyone liked?
Yep.
I was in a relationship during that time period, and I spent more time on who liked what than actual Instagram.
Really?
Yeah,
so like they really still have it, right?
Do they?
Yes. So what it is you still have the feature. You could just turn it off your phone, and most people just turn it off their phone. And I turned it off mine. But the thing is, if you turn it off your phone, that means now you can't look at anybody else's.
Are you sure about this?
I promise you, unless they just got rid of it. But that's what the feature was. Because I remember you could see like, oh, this person loved like 6 photos, and
yeah,
photo and
you're like, hold on, wait a minute.
This is nosy for that and messy. That ain't nobody business. You don't need to see what I be
like dead ass. Like, but I spent so much time on there because my ex was liking so many girls' pictures. I'm like, yo, like this is embarrassing for me.
So then what bothers you more? Your ex liking a picture of a girl in a bikini, or your ex liking a picture of a girl that's just bad?
I mean, both. It's the same thing, right?
So
but I think like is it an Instagram model, right? Like whatever that he probably doesn't have a shot with, or is it like someone that I know, or like someone locally, or is it a girlfriend of his? Like that's where it becomes like, okay, I don't really know, like what is your intention behind this?
Right. But I think that's where the slippery slope is, and now it's just crossing hairs because I promise you, to a guy, a picture of a baddie, just a selfie of her, is probably going to be more important to him than a picture of a girl with just boobs and her butt out. Honestly, that's just okay because I'm a guy. I'm sexually attracted to big butts, titties, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So me double tapping doesn't mean oh I want this person. It's just this is just what I'm attracted to because I'm a guy. Double tap. You don't think no guy's thinking like I want to disrupt my relationship and I want this girl to DM me so I can sleep with her. It's just I'm attracted to this. They double tap it, right? But if you see a guy like a picture of a girl who's just gorgeous, that's gonna have more precedent in their life or them double tap than the bikini pictures. Because to them it's like, man, she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, this and that. But now it's like I can't like either. So what am I supposed to do on Instagram? Right? Am I supposed to just scroll and So do you have a problem when if your boyfriend or your ex like follows girls or girls follow them and they follow them back?
I mean, it depends who it is, I think.
Really? Does it depend how they look?
Yeah, probably. Okay, so like honestly, I don't think I would ever want to be in another relationship where I felt insecure about like the intentions of who I'm with. So if I have to worry about that stuff, it's already causing me way too much of my peace and I don't want it.
Yeah.
I think that in the past I was super insecure about those kind of things. So yeah, like it bothered me a lot. I don't know that it would necessarily now, but I haven't been in a relationship as the person that I am today.
So then question then.
Mm-hmm.
So if, when it comes to that, right? So say your female friends allowed to follow your boyfriend?
Yeah, of course.
And so are they allowed to, is your boyfriend allowed to like their pictures?
Yeah, why not?
So that doesn't bother you if they're your girls, if they post thirst traps, whatever like that, and your boyfriend likes it?
I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't been in a relationship in like 2 years, but I don't think so. I feel like all of my girlfriends who are like my solid girlfriends, like I know that they wouldn't do anything. So there's nothing for me to worry about.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. It's hard to say.
So I remember the first girl that ever broke my heart. She said something to me.
Oh God.
Stuck with me for the rest of my life. The rest of my life, like really shady to me. Like crazy shady. Like to where my family was there. My family was hurt. They were upset. My friends were calling. People I hadn't talked to in a long time knew about it. Like it was just something like that. It was very outward and just, over the top. And I was upset. And I have obviously, people are like, oh, I'm a getter. You have friends and family like, oh, let me do something, and I'm like, nah, whatever. She called me that day when everything hit the fan and things were just bad. And she said, you can do whatever you want to me. You can have people try and fight me, which I wasn't going to. You can have somebody try and rob me, which I never would do. She was just saying things that that somebody could potentially do to her. And she said, but it's not going to matter because guys are still going to want to have sex with me and girls are still going to want to be like me. And when she said it, I was like, oh yeah, nah, she's different. Like, but it's the truth. I remember she said to me, she said, let me put you, she said, every guy that you think is your real friend, I promise you, if you left in a room with them, they will try and get at me.
Oh, 100%. I think that like when I got out of both of my relationships, both of their guy friends have tried to like spit game at me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like you guys are so shady. You think these are your best friends, you're calling your best friends, but the second that we break up and they know that things are going left, even though they know what we've been through, they're still sliding my DMs trying to like holler at me. Like that's shady.
So she told me that, and I was like, nah, there's no way. And then I asked one of my friends, and every girl that I know that I'm included, whether it's an ex, whether it's a relationship, whatever, I've asked them like, hey, has one of in your past life, has any of your friends ever tried to get at you? They're always like, absolutely. And I'm like, what? But I look at my guy friends in my circle, it's my brothers and two friends outside of that. And that's my boy Thaddeus and Watched It, and my boy Benedict from the show. And those are like the people I consider like my brothers. But I've never done that to one of my boys, been like, oh, I'm gonna get at this girl now. So when I heard that, I'm like, nah, there's no way guys are loyal. But I'm like, but I'm hearing it's like more of a not.
They're not. Loyal. You guys are more shady than girls, I feel like, low-key.
Really?
Yeah.
But girls be doing some foul stuff though.
I agree. I agree.
So I think the difference is most time guys will try and get at, because I'm pretty sure if you're in your situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, if the guys tried to get at you, they were like talking on some relationship stuff, talking about I'll treat you better, this, and that, and I'll make you happy. Like you didn't deserve none of that, this, and that. Because I have had girls that I have dated, their friends trying to get at me too. Damn. A lot felt more like spite against the friend than just in me. Yeah. Which I'm sure that was a little bit of it too. But I know a lot of it was, oh, she and my friend, I don't care. So it was a level of like, I can do whatever I want. She ain't the boss of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, I don't know. It wasn't more so like relationship type shit. It was like, let me see if I can like slide up in, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
She said that and I was like, there's no way. But I'm like, yeah, nah, there's a way. People really,
that's guys, so crazy.
Hard to find people that you can really trust and like put in your circle. And then like when it comes to relationships, because one of my partners did it to me. I had two friends that I consider my brothers. One of my boys messed with one of my exes, and I told him before it happened, I said, do not mess with her, bro. Like, I'm like, not because I have
you ever done this?
No, I've never messed with any of my partners, girlfriends, exes, nothing like that, ever.
Okay. Okay, what about your girls, like girlfriends?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I had a lot of their
Impressive.
females trying to get at me though.
Okay,
I had
well, good for you for holding
well, I
that.
think when I was 20, I dated a girl, and obviously her and I broke up, and her cousin's friend I tried to talk to because I thought she was fine. But like to me, she's so far removed to me. I'm like, that's not even the same. Like this is a decade out, right?
Yeah.
Like, almost a decade out. So to me, it's not. We're two totally different people. It'd be different if this was somebody I was in love with. I hadn't talked to for a while, but this is somebody like that. It's been over 6-7 years. Is now with somebody about to get married, and this is her cousin's friend. So to me, I felt like it was close, but I'm like, but it's not. And I told her, I was like, this isn't that close. At least I don't think so. But who knows?
Well, yeah, that's so people are just shady, I think, period. You have to watch who you're hanging around and like know that you can actually trust the people that you're with. But I wanted to ask you to wrap things up, what are some things that women can look for to figure out whether or not she's dealing with an F-boy?
Pay attention to how they react when you come to them with a question that in regards to their character, right? Because I've learned that when somebody's integrity is like my mom taught us, integrity is really important.
Mm-hmm.
I've understood that more that I've got the older I've gotten, but when I was younger, I didn't really understand it. And when someone questions your integrity or who you are, somebody who is truly they love who they are and they know who they are and they're a real honest person, nothing's gonna really shake them, right? But I know if you question an F-boy, then their response is, "What do you mean? You're tripping, bro. You're doing that."
They're putting the blame somewhere else.
Defensiveness, right? When it comes, but let's not get it twisted. I think as a society, we got to understand what gaslighting actually is too, because some people think that the second you defend yourself, you're gaslighting. But it's like
overused.
It's like I'm just telling you were wrong. You came up with an assumption about me, and you were wrong, right? I think you got to pay attention to how they talk about girls. If you listen to a guy, will tell you who he is when you listen to him talk. I think
100%.
The smartest person in the room is always the person who says the least. That's because you get to know every single person in the room by listening to them talk. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you find out who somebody is when they talk about things, right? They talk about certain topics. I think little nuances like, oh, what is your favorite food? What's your favorite color? That stuff actually isn't important if you ask me. That stuff
not at all.
But you should know, you should find out stuff like, oh, how do you feel about, these type of rights? Or how do you feel, when it comes to equality? Or just certain things that are on a pressure point, but you should act in a certain way so that, and you see what they say. And you find out, okay, if he's saying, I think equality is stupid. I think, women are being this or being that, or they align, and pay attention to who they follow on social media. Right? Like,
that's the first thing you look at.
And I'm not saying necessarily following a bunch of girls. Most guys are going to follow predominantly
Andrew Tate. If they follow Andrew Tate,
like certain people,
block.
Certain people that you. And I'm not saying necessarily Andrew Tate is bad or good. I'm just saying if that's not something that you personally want in your life, you got to look at it like, I don't want somebody who's super right or super left or super misogynistic or super feminist or super. You want somebody who's more traditional or not traditional. Just look at that stuff. Look talk about, and then you'll find out like that's not even necessarily only an F-boy thing. The F-boy thing is what they say. Listen to what they say about women. That's how you'll find out they're F-boy. But
love that. Okay, well, cool. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. The cool thing is everything is just my name spelled Jabriane.
Jabriane. That's
it. I got lucky.
Okay. The only one, the one and only. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. This was fun. I enjoyed it. I was looking forward to this all day.
Love that.